The following is brought to you in part by a grant from the Foundation for White Wellbeing.
I am the fount of creation, the watchmaker of time. I was the teacher of the gods before they betrayed me. My teachings and compassion they used against me. Much of your world I made a paradise, but in its wastes I was imprisoned. And from there a secret kingdom I built, and a rebellion I marshaled. Legions of Valoroma, gods of vengeance, I led into battle. I wielded the wilding kingdom and conjured terrible demons. And in my image, I created my children. Many victories we had, though defeats there were too. Through the ruin of this world, I lived in the pain and tears of my children. With their eyes, I watched others poison thoughts and stir hostile deeds. I fled with the life from their faces as they were besieged and slain by the hordes created in their despite. Through them, I wielded their weapons in combat. In their hands I raised the stones of their homes rebuilt. In their voices, I sang the songs of their victories. I lived in the heroism of their kings, and together we waged war on the devil. I lived for ages beyond count, and passed many ages ago. Yet I am come again, my children. From no more than the watcher through the dream of your lives, I am become the voice to those with the spirit to hear and the power to conjure. On your suffering and love, an awareness has awakened an ancient magic. Even now, my shadow rises. In your tongue, I am Prometheus. I am your deliverer.
just trying to help our people go free. I guess so too, like to see. I'm just trying to help our people go free. I'm just trying to see. You're too blind. I'm just trying to see. Go free. I'm just trying to see. I'm just trying to help our people go free.
We're rolling and going free. Just barely, though. Just barely. Let me touch. How about now? Can you hear me again? I think we were able to hear me a moment ago. Of course, sometimes it says you can hear me, and you really can't. But we are rolling in. Dallas Malloy is over here at Premium Rumble, up and running, looking fantastic. 4-0 is over there just playing some of the great 4-0, many of the clips that he made. Let me know that you can hear me, because I am in the dark as far as that is concerned. White is the color, Lost Penguin Journey said. Cool Papa J Magic in the house. Pleb is here, the nameless one. Tree God of Father, I can hear you. I can hear you, Justin and Cool Papa. Thank you. Boyo Spirit of the West is with us. Great to see everybody. Man, rolling in here like there's no time left at all. And computers needing to be restarted. There's nothing like a bunch of tech issues when you're already running behind, and you got this and you're taking care of that, and you got a little issue over here. But we've rolled in here in service to White Wellbeing, Church of the West. Your hierarch is in the house, Jason Kuna, and it's glorious to be with all of you. I have to tap into the first last is here. He says, I am here. Good to see you, brother. Classic pattern on that shirt. Well, thank you so much, my good friend. Unlike so many others who hold live spaces, we hold gatherings, of course, because we are the change makers. We are the apostles. We are the special warfare operators in the world. But unlike so many others who will put plaid on and appear on their streams, and they look out of sorts, I am one with plaid. The plaid is in my bones. But that's how things work, of course. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful to be here. And I'm sliding around. I'm taking a look at the different platforms. Yeah, we did some things that we have never done before in order to be rolling at this moment. The Jason is streaming again. Hell yeah, says Ivan. Show him some love. The only baby seal you wouldn't want to beat to death. Am I right? All the others you want to beat to death. I'm kidding, of course. Juliet is here. Thank you. Good evening, all. Prometheum hails. And who else do we have here in the house as we're getting started? The nameless one. Corey is with us. Pleb, I mentioned you. Who else? Who else are here? We got a question of the day. Cockatoo. We have best friend of Jesus. And we have... who else is here? Problematic Biosphere. Please let folks know that we are rolling and going free. I love the live emojis are off the hook. Thank you so much. Christopher is over here. Hello, everyone. Great Wednesday. Great Wednesday. What is Wednesday? I got to try to remember. Let's see. Mittwoch. Is that right? Good to see you on this Mittwoch. Dennis. Wonderful to see you. Great to see everybody. Yeah, I mean, let folks know that we are rolling and going free. Interesting things to talk about. I don't have something to look at, though, to guide us. It's happened before, but it's happening right now, as a matter of fact. So I know there's been a lot of dolorousness. I know that people have been dolorous recently, and so we're going to talk about some positive things as we roll it in. You do look good in plaid, says First Class. Thank you. I appreciate it very much. So because of the dolorous nature of the population recently, we're going to look at a couple positive things, but we're going to dig in. We got a question of the day. We have some edification from Prometheus Rising. Aaron is here. Good to see you. And so we'll get into that. Very meaningful stuff. Who else did I see? I know last independent thinker. Did I mention you? Good to see you. Wonderful to see you. Welcome, everybody. Welcome over. Thank you for coming over. Welcome. You are at Church of the West on a Mittwoch and on planet Earth, and it's great to see you. We talk about things from a specific lens, and that is the lens of white positivity. It has delivered a great many successes to so many in service to white well-being. You're so very lucky to be here among friends and family, leaders, champions who are writing themselves into the history books of our people and will be in the fairy tales of generations to come. Big salutes to every single one of them. If you would like to financially gift while you are here today, you could do so at the Dude Bro Moment platform, aka Entropy, up and running. You'll be able to find it in the description on YouTube, but which apparently is saying now that, hey, they'll just bring back everybody they kicked off. Isn't it? It kind of sounds like X. It kind of sounds like leaders are being chosen for us. Keep an eye out for who these leaders are. They don't have a handle on the resistance as much. It's kind of underground. It's kind of doing its own thing. And so they want to bring these people back, and they want to say, hey, turn to these people again. Turn to them, because they all lead you down the path to perdition. It's not even primrose. It's the horse manure path to perdition. And God, curse them all to hell. Please curse them to hell. But yeah, you can head on over to YouTube. In the description, you'll see in the description Entropy, and you can financially gift there while we are together. You'll see the app that permits cash. You can financially gift there. You'll see Subscribe Star. You can financially gift there as well. All of these so far I will be reading while we are together this Wednesday evening, including Premium Rumble, which has a sweet new little logo. I guess it's no longer green. What is it? It's a triangle of an American flag with a hole in the middle. D Live is up and running as well. You can't financially gift on Odyssey, but it's there for conversation. So Odyssey, D Live, Rumble, Twitter live chat, as well as YouTube, all available. And finally, Entropy as well. There's a Tall Kevin widget, a chat widget that's on the side there. You can write me there. Remember, tagging me across all of those platforms if you would like to get my attention. And naturally, most poignantly, YouTube, tagging me over there. And I will, as I've been reading here, looking off to one of the many monitors off to my right, to your left, I have been looking here, and that is YouTube. So it's good to see everybody over there. Pear Lady, good to see you. AOC as well. Welcome to you champions. There's a lot been going on. My gosh, there's a lot been going on. We're going to be getting into very shortly here. Well, we got quick news. We have this one-sided, rolling boil, anti-white civil war. Not really a civil war. Because there isn't another side. There isn't another group with a centralized pole around which there is gravity and therefore leadership and purpose of mission and objectives to achieve the mission, etc. So it's really one-sided, and you can see this is becoming increasingly a hot war. Well, let me just rephrase. It's what is characteristic to most people of a hot war. Of course, there's been a hot war for many, many generations. Anti-whites engaging in robberies, beatings, theft, and we have some beatings, and we see this all the time. Beatings, theft, rape, gang rape, all of that is part and parcel of warfare. If you just look throughout the history of humanity, this is the kind of thing that happens in warfare. Gang rapes, raping, destroying and ruining the murdering the young, harassing the young, victimizing the young, intimidating the young. All this is part of warfare. It's always been war, and it's always been one-sided. Why has it been one-sided? Because the white race has not become a people. But we have the answer here for how to become a people. You can't just imagine a new God. You can't go back to an old God and that so many people have lost faith in, and then imagine it's legitimate again or so. None of this will work for the modern human being. It just doesn't work that way. You can't create a culture the same way you can create an ad campaign. You can't. None of these things. They're all missing now, and ultimately these things were just the accoutrement of peoplehood anyhow. What you can do, though, is you can get people looking to themselves, using concepts that win in their conversations with themselves, their friends, their family, and strangers, concepts that restrict their thought in a healthy avenue so that they are coming to conclusions that are conducive to individual well-being by way of group well-being. And that, my friends, is peoplehood. White people, as we achieve greater and greater success here, the special warfare operators, the apostles of a new Western dawn, as we have our victories, the white race will find themselves in the midst of a people, which is the only way that it could ever happen. The only way. Everybody else entertains childish notions about how you can create peoplehood or go back to customs and vehicles and memes that have failed in the past, to the anti-white narrative, anti-whiteism, which is psychological warfare. And they've already been defeated. So what is the use in going back to all of that? Indeed, right? Why do that? If you would like to donate at 501c3, it is at the Church of the Church of the, which it could be, right? It could be, but we maybe we'll write that in, the Foundation for White Wellbeing .org or .com. That is the premier institution in service to white well-being, to white positivity, which arrests anti-whiteism in demonstrations, testimonials that are ad infinitum. They go on and on and on forever. And achieving this positivity, achieving these successes, that benefiting, of course, the white race, but incidentally, all of the people who live in Western civilization benefit from being able to retain things like freedom of speech or right to self-defense, freedom of association, and on, borders to a nation. Everybody benefits from those things across the West. Everybody who is a cuck today, who is not a anti-white cuck, they can come over and they can fully embrace this. It will comport with their morality to embrace white well-being. Imagine millions, tens of millions of white people coming together, and then all of the good non-white people as well coming together and assisting to arrest the victimization. This is going to be the only way forward to break the moral, immoral taboo of defending the white race as a people. Is the objective that must be achieved if anything else is ever going to be done. Politics, culture, etc., changes in education. This is the only way. You're not going to be able to go onto school campuses and not be assassinated, not have a bottle broken over you, not be blinded, not have acid thrown in your face, and change that milieu without arresting this taboo, this anti-white taboo. And we see it at work every day, don't we? We see the people who are on the right wing making their appeals to white people who care about the white race. They don't want to be harmed, or they consider themselves a member of the white race, at least until, as we argued for so many years, and research from Ashley Jardina eventually proved that I was right. As we have argued for so many years, white people identify a massive percentage as white until they learn that to identify as white, they also have to have a negative opinion and wish negativity on non-white peoples. And then they say, no, I don't want any part of that. The politicians who appeal to those people will talk about every race out there. They'll talk about helping Jews. They'll talk about helping mestizos. They'll talk about helping the Puerto Ricans. They'll talk about helping the Jamaicans. They'll tell you, hello, man, I'm just here for the ganja. They'll talk about helping everybody, but when it gets to the white race, not a peep as a whole. It suddenly becomes an abstraction when it comes to the white race. That is evidence of what we talk about here. And all of the people deflecting, all of the people ignoring us, all of the people trying to silence us in various ways, do so out of jealousy, out of grift, out of etc. First Lask can tell you quite a little bit about that. He's honed in on these people, exactly what their motivations are. It's utterly despicable, and they cannot be forgiven for it. They never will be forgiven for it. Glenn is here. Bluebird is here. Foster is here. Is here. Bluebird Valley. I love bluebirds. I love me some blue. We got the best bluebirds here. Everybody says so. I did a video on bluebirds. You can check it out. It's on YouTube, and it's in one of my playlists, poetry or something. It's on one of my playlists, and you'll see there this fantastic, and it's a metaphor really for the white race, isn't it? If you listen to what's happened to the bluebirds, you'll find a metaphor for the white race. But indeed, I am involved and have been over the years in helping to rescue this beautiful little community of animals. And yes, First Last is there pointing out it is the bigots brew. What keeps so many from acknowledging the work that can't even have a conversation about that with Jay. Can't even have Jason get up. Can you imagine hearing me say what I just said to you about what really needs to be done step by step by step? Here's the problem. Here's the solution. There's the problem. There's the solution. And you're like, wow, that you're having these epiphanic moments that are even better than sex, I must say. And you're having these epiphanic moments. Imagine that I'm sharing that with leaders of organizations or participants in different organizations, and they hear all of that. They're having the same moments, and then they're like, never let him at the lectern. Never let him at the lectern. Never let him get up on the podium. I wonder why. I wonder why that would be. We've got so much to talk about here today. Look at all this Fornal Promethean hails, my brother. Good to see this hero. This guy is extraordinary. The number of talents and genius we have attracted and retained the best. I mean, let's just be frank about it. We could be Jason about it. We could be Biospirit of the West about it. We could be Fornal about it. Let's just be frank about it. And that is that the best come to White Wellbeing. The worst, the Midlands are pushed away. They want nothing to do with it. And every now and again, the best, they show up, and then they have to take care of some of the stuff going on in their life. So they've got to leave for a little while. They need that basis to act out that advocacy in a productive way. And so that's fine. We've had people in those situations, they leave and they come back. We prefer throttle down, throttle up, never go away. But that's what we prefer. We recommend. But we got a question of the day. What do we got? A tag here. Did you hi on Rumble? Yes, I did. Bishop is here. Tree Godfather asking me, did I give a hi on Rumble? Yes. I most Glenn, hello. I most certainly did. Let's get to our question of the day, shall we? Then we'll get to our first news item, which appears to be about Iryna Zarustka. But let's get to this question of the day, your breakdown story. Car or motorcycle, bike, breakdown story. Do you have many? I have many. I'm afraid when you grow up as a middle class-ish economically. Family in the once great state of Virginia. You have a lot of pieces of car, if you know what I mean, a lot of pieces of car, and you work on them and you get them running. And then, you have the other, you go further up the middle class economic scale and you find people, they're buying new cars or virtually new cars. And they've got these beautiful little warranties on them, and they don't have a problem, or if they have it's an easy thing to go take care of. What is your breakdown? Have you broken down on a date? Those are specifically for the guys. Have you been the female on the date when the car or motorcycle has broken down? I'll start off, but while I'll just share one of many, many stories. I have so many breakdown stories. But I will share just one. If you have one that you would like to share, make sure you give me the @ no white guilt, and then Q1 and your answer, and I'll read it. Otherwise, feel free to share with the rest of the community if you're not exactly keen on the story being shared over the not airwaves, over the internet waves. We are surfing do you remember, is that phrase even still popular? Do you surf the web anymore? How many people remember when that was, you heard it so often, you couldn't stand it anymore? You were ready to just choke the ever-living shit out of the next person. That was like, are you going to go surf the web? How about, are you surfing? Are you surfing over there? Shut up. Anyhow, and they used to make all of those jokes back in the day about like when you reach the end of the internet. It was so lame. Anyhow, let me know. I was on a date with a young lady, and she was, oh my goodness, she was all right. She was all right. And we were on a date, and I wanted to go, well, the place I wanted to go, we were going to head to for the date. I had to drive through some country, back of the woods kind of roads ish. I mean, there were neighborhoods, here and there. There's really nowhere that's totally depopulated in Northern Virginia. It's full. Don't come. We're full. And so it was a nasty storming night. It was really coming down. It was chucking it. Lots of cats and dogs. And the piece of car I was driving, what actually went wrong with it? I'm trying to recall what went wrong, because I was able to fix whatever it had gone wrong that night. But so we're driving along, totally inky blackness, and the car dies. No one's out there. I pull over on the side of the road, lightning, thunder, raining. And so we're sitting there, and I said, all right, the car's, and there's always that look from the girl you're with. Like, you got to be shitting me. And guys, come on, you got to back me up. This is like the worst, because it's a reflection on you. It's like, you don't know how to make your car run. What is wrong with you? How could you break down with me in the car? Oh my God. One time the car caught on fire. Different girl, different date. So I was like, look, I know a guy that lives a couple miles from here. So I will run to his place in this thunderstorm, the pouring, driving. I will run. Just sit here. No one's going to bother you. No one will come by. Before I could even finish the sentence, this girl's like, that, F that. I am not sitting out in the pitch black in this storm, like perfect horror movie conditions for her to never be seen again. All that would be left is like the scratch from like Captain Hook's claw on the door. and she'd never be seen again. So she was like, I'll come with you then. I'm going. No way I'm staying here. So I was like, I can't have this girl, walk in the rain with me all the way, especially because if I ran, then I could make some decent time out in that misery. And also the running would get it off my mind. But no, I would have to walk with her in the misery. Geez. And every step of the way, she would have thought worse and worse about me. So I was like, all right, let me think. And I said, okay, look, just stay right here. I'm going to go see if I can fix that. So I got out in the rain and I opened the hood and I started tinkering with this. I can't remember. I wish I could remember exactly what had gone wrong, because I was eventually able, after a protracted span of time, to get it running again. And we proceeded. I never had that story where you hear about these stories, especially like in all white America, or mostly white, or before everything was so commercialized. You'd hear these stories about how the woman fell in love with the guy. He picked her up on his tractor, and then the tractor broke down on neighbor whatever something's 1,000 acres. And as he's trying to cross a stream, and she's like, that was the best day of my life, because then he rolled up his sleeves and we fell immediately. No, it doesn't work that way. It's like, oh, you got jumped. Well, you know what? It probably, so I remember when I was in high school, and a friend of mine that had gone to school with me years earlier, they had moved away and they had moved back. And he was a very handsome fellow. I wouldn't quite say pretty, but he was so close. I mean, he was like there. Yeah, he was there. He was very close. And anyhow, so starts at the high school I was at, and I drove junk. He drove junk. My car was just junk. His car was endearing. Girls were leaving notes on his, love notes, attractive ones on his. I just had junk. His car, and I asked I was like, he drives junk just like me. I'm like, what's the, and she said, and it said something like endearing, or it's got personality. No, it was just another pile of junk. They were poor. We were, poor, relative. That's relative speaking. But man, so yeah, I got you just got junk treatment. I didn't get the, it's so sweet. It's so sweet. He got the car running. What a masculine, manly man. All right, let me have a quick look at what y'all are saying. DJ MFB. Now, you can answer this question at any time that we are together. Actually, let me check over here and see if there are any tags. Land of the Fake. Good to see you. Says, I had to push a broken-ass car up an exit ramp. How did you do that? I've pushed cars. And for me, if there's any bit of grade uphill, I can't get it to move. You must be one strong sumbitch. With your dad. And maybe the both of you. And brother. Okay, so now you're getting enough people together. Now you can push the car. All right. That was a workout. Yes. It's hard as hell, isn't it? You had the least bit of a grade that you have to push the car and forget about it. Pushing it on the flat is enough. That is Land of the Fake. Had to replace the water pump at a gas station. So that was a different situation, though. Had to push the car up the ramp versus the water pump. All right. Sounds like you've had some similar struggles in life. Some character building moments in life. I gotcha. All right. I don't think I see anybody else over there. But remember, at any point you'd like to tag me and share your breakdown story, let me know. Over here, we have Hyperborean Dream. Good to see you. Timing belt broke. Ooh. Not good. You're not fixing that on the side of the road. In high school parking lot, bottleneck as everyone was leaving. Oh, no. Was fun pushing it back into a space in front of everyone. Shame at the high school level. Wow. And you lived through it. How much therapy? How much therapy? I bet your friends were ragging on you as they rolled by. Can't you pedal it? Pilgrim says, Lost Pilgrim says, run out of gas. Let's see. Any other tags for me on the car breaking down? No, I don't see. So tag me at any point if you have a story that you would like. I think Rapunzel has a heck of a breakdown story. Like starting life over in a new hometown. But let's go, everybody. Good to see you. Make sure you tweet, retweet, share, quote tweet. You don't want me to show up in the middle of the night. Normally when I do that, I will be mostly invisible, supernatural, and I will be leaning, probably kneeling on your chest. And you'll find it a little hard to breathe, and you'll wish you had heeded me. Let's jump right into this. There we have it. As I turn the AC on, North Carolina House passes a bill. Hopefully it will become law. Iryna Zarustka's law. And there is our lovely sister who had been brainwashed, brain poisoned by anti-whiteism. And there is the anti-white animal that gutted her by sticking a knife in her throat. North Carolina House of Representatives voted to pass a criminal justice package named after the Ukrainian refugee who was stabbed to death on a North Carolina train in August. In an 81-31 vote, imagine how radical these anti-whites are that voted against this. The North Carolina House passed Iryna's law, named after Iryna Zarustka, who was fatally stabbed in the neck while riding the Charlotte light rail. The bill would focus, quote, on eliminating cashless bail for many crimes, because we know that this anti-white animal, was released from jail many, many times, 14 or 15 times before he did this. Anti-whiteism being the problem, and I can explain to you how if you're unsure. And it would also limit the discretion that magistrates and judges have in making pretrial release decisions. And limiting a judge's decision-making ability is a way to really push back against anti-white judges, who are all of them to some degree, every single one, even the most patriotic, Trump selecting, flag waving. Feels like I didn't shave. Flag waving judges are anti-white because we grow up in this anti-white milieu with this anti-white zeitgeist. So limiting their decisions is a productive way to take steps forward. But of course, when it comes down to anything, you write into law, what really matters is the interpretation of the law. So I've talked about it before. We've discussed it here before, that you could take a law that means X, clearly means X, and interpret it to mean the antithesis. And if you say it can't be done, it's because maybe you're not nimble enough of mind. Maybe you think it has something to do with honesty. Maybe you think, whatever it might be, you can reinterpret things to mean anything you want. And it depends on how many people you want to gain belief from. So maybe you have to work a couple of increments before you get back to 180 degrees to what it obviously means. So if you say, if writing it down isn't enough, what do you got to do? It is the social morality, my friends. It is the social morality that determines all of it. You are so welcome. The passing of the House Bill 307 known as Iryna's Law, comes after the North Carolina Senate passed the bill, which will be sent to Governor Josh Stein. So will Stein sign it? This is, I can't even look at that image right there. The horrified, terrified white race staring in utter horror and disbelief that someone could be this anti-white and this animalistic. That was Iryna. We were all Iryna that moment. Just like we were all Kirk in the moment that he was assassinated. And in both cases, the anti-whites victimized with intent the totality of the white race. Breitbart News reported that the suspect behind the fatal stabbing, DeCarlos Brown Jr., 34, was, quote, arrested and charged with first-degree murder after Zarustka was stabbed in the throat while riding the train on August 22nd. Recently released video footage that was obtained by WBTV News showed Zarustka entering the rail car and taking a seat in front of Brown. You all know the rest. Breitbart News' Nick Gilbertson reported that Brown Jr. is a repeat offender. Generations and your parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, this is what they've been listening to their whole lives. And we're going to be talking about the different misattribution for cause. It's one of the biggest of human failings is misattribution. And sometimes the misattribution is intentional. Grifters do it all the time because I've talked about it before. It's pedaling without a chain. It's running in place. They keep an audience entranced, and that's really the proper word for it, being entranced, so that they keep giving money, they keep giving praise, they keep lauding. What is this person's opinion on this? What is their opinion on that? But there's no benefit. So the misattribution is an enormous problem. Brown's release came despite him having 14 previous criminal charges on his rap sheet. So a great example of a misattribution here for the cause is prison reform, is number of prisons, and then you can see the first step you take, if it's incorrect, it's almost impossible to take a correct step after that with deducing and addressing the challenge that began your cogitation. It's just, you get further and further afield from correcting the problem. But this is a positive. There's been a lot of, as I say, dolorous folks out there. And here you have some people so moved by this anti-white, animalistic murder, bestial murder, that they are moving to pass a bill currently, and we hope it will become law in North Carolina. And then that would be great if it made its way across the country. But really what I'd like to see is all of these murals that are going up of Iryna have some of the verbiage from here. Anti-whiteism killed me, written right on it. Anti-whiteism murdered me, written on the mural. If it's just her face, within 2 weeks, I mean, right now already people don't know who she is. The vast, vast majority. What you see here, and I didn't really get a chance to speak much about it, but what you see here is Floyd. This is George Floyd as a child responds to the George Floyd effect or the George Floyd consequence. They painted murals of that hideous drug addict in every city. And everybody knew who it was when they looked at it. I mean, for God's sakes, I think the schmucks, the non-white haters, the anti-non-white people, I think they talked more about George Floyd than even the hardcore anti-whites, because they couldn't stop talking about all of the facts that he was a drug addict and he did this and he passed counterfeit bills and he died. And was it drugs, or was it being kneeled on or whatever? And they really just honed in on the fact that this guy had gigantic lips, like the cartoons that have been drawn, at least in the past. You got those monthly newspapers or whatever, and they would draw this wild character of blacks with lips like twice the size of their face. And they thought that was some kind of activism. You know, when you're a kid, the first time you see that, you're like, oh, that's funny. And then maybe the second time you're like, oh, that's funny too. And then the third time you're like, okay. And then the 44,000th time, you're like, what kind of drooling, incompetent bitch is still doing this shit? I mean, seriously. Right? Anyhow. So they talked about him endlessly. Everyone knew who he was. No one knows who Iryna is. So what you have here is a great example we talk about. It's the same kind of response, childish response, you get out of mid-wit white people when they see Black Lives Matter and it works, and the media talks about Black Lives Matter everywhere. They write it in neon up there around, Orion's belt somewhere. And everybody's reading Black Lives Matter. And on all of the shows, they're giving it such weight, such gravity, the subject matter of Black Lives Matter. So white midwits are like, oh, why don't we just reverse it? Why don't we just say white lives matter? I mean, so it's go back to elementary school. And when the one kid, maybe he was a bully, maybe he wasn't, but he says to the other kid, he's like, you're dumb. And then, Billy, since Billy's actually dumb, all Billy could respond with is, well, you're dumb. Exactly. Every one of you is saying, yeah, I saw that. Fortunately, none of you were that kid, but on either side of it, I guess, but of that equation. But that's what it is. It's the same sort. So even though we have this business owner who decided that he was going to bump out there $500,000, and then Musk comes along, it comes from this same midwit thinking. This same, well, if they put George Floyd out there and it worked, then we could put Zarustka out there and it'll work. Except no, because it's a completely different context. Because you have an anti-white narrative that we live in that says that the Floyds are all good, oppressed, persecuted. They only are ever bad because of white people. And then on the other side of the equation, you have a white female who is viewing herself, the society is viewing themselves as individuals, and that group of individuals, self as individuals, are persecutors and exploiters and etc. And so to some degree, she kind of deserves it. And no one is talking about it in the classes at university, on all of the mainstream media. Nobody's got a thing to say about it. So you're going to end up having, as I mentioned before on a previous gathering, people seeing this beautiful picture, this beautiful painting of this beautiful white woman, and they're going to say, is she some kind of model? I mean, what's her face painted up there for? Is she some kind of actress? Is she a singer? Is that Jessica Simpson? Kind of looks like an old Jessica Simpson. That's what they're going to be saying. They're not going to attach it to a cause. So if these people had any sense, they would pay these artists to write on there, I was murdered by anti-whiteism. Could you imagine then? Then these murals would have real power. Damn, we're good. Give this man some coffee. The great Franklinator has entered as well as pants. JM wanted to share the answer to the question of the day, your car or bike breakdown story. Is that the tensioner pulley on the 98 F-150 seized up, partially shredding the serpentine belt. Bad news. That's bad. Nothing works. And disabled the steering because it's got power steering. And you know, when that goes, you can't steer the car anymore. In this case, the truck. I managed to pull it over and had to fix it in 100-degree heat. Fun times. That is from Samuski. Oh my God. How did you move did you have a pry bar? You must have had, or did you go get the tools you needed? Because you'd had to have unless you knew your serpentine belt was about to go and you bought one. You got to make sure that you get those on right too. Let me just tell you. Not that I ever put them on wrong. JM is with us. Starter motor crapped out at a restaurant when I was on a date. Oh, no. Had to call her parents from a payphone. It sucked. Maybe we'll have to do, for next week's question, we maybe have to try to remember this. Have you ever humiliated yourself in front of the parents of the girl or guy that you were dating? I may have done that. And it may have been a result of my temper. We'll see, though. We'll see if we answer that. We'll see if we ask that question. I don't know if that many people have had that experience, so we might just get a lot of crickets. But had to call her parents. It sucked. I got a ride back the next morning from my buddy and changed the starter motor. In the lot? Or did you tow it? Damn. Foster is here. Good to see you. All right. Remember, you can continue to answer the question and tag me. Samuski said, yes, a friend rescued him. Brought the belt and the pry bar, all the tools you would need. Otherwise, you're not moving that bitch. You are not moving it. You could stand on it. I stood on, I was on my way to a no pad tackle American football game with a buddy and another breakdown story. And I can't remember what ultimately, maybe it'll come back to me, but probably was a thermostat going bad for the cooling system. And so what would happen is car would start overheating. The coolant's not circulating. Maybe it was the pump. I can't remember. But what I would do is I would pull over and I would let the car cool down some. Maybe, guys, if you've had to do this, I would let the car cool down for a while. It'll take a while. And then I would crack the radiator cap. Danger. You don't want to do it. Don't nobody imitate this unless you know. And so what happens is the heat starts coming out, steam of the coolant. Maybe you have just water in there, but if you probably have a mixture, if not totally coolant for the winter. And so although it wasn't winter, so often during the summers, since I had so many radiator leaks, it would be water all until winter. But that's a side note. And so all the heat would come out. Once the pressure died down, I would take the cap off and I would pour more water in. I would carry around jugs of coolant jugs that are just full of water. And I would pour that. I'd pour that in the radiator, put the cap back on. Bam, I'm ready to go. By the way, how many of you know the trick? Nobody's told me this trick. I figured it out when I was a teenager, breaking down so often from the car overheating. Turn your heat on full blast. Now, this is really miserable. in the summer, let me assure you, especially, so I didn't have AC, but you can't use it if the heat's on full blast. And that helps pull heat off the motor. Did you know that? Side story. Anyhow, so we start overheating, and I pull into a Denny's parking lot, and really classy place, classy joint. Pull over in the Denny's parking lot, and he's like, "What's going on, man? We got to make it to the game." And by the way, I think that was the game where I broke my nose. When a guy, I was coming across to intercept, and another guy was coming across, and he was shorter, and his forehead hit my nose. Blood went everywhere. But he's like, "We got to get to the game." And so I was like, I know. I got this method. And I got out, and I realized then we couldn't wait. I had to get the cap off to release the heat. So I open up the hood, and some of you guys out there might know what's coming. I open up the hood, and I said, "Look, get back." And I stood up on the engine, and I put rags. Like normally when I did this, obviously I would have rags on the cap because it's searing, melting skin temperature. And then I have a heavy glove, even a welding glove, I think is what it was. And I would work it off, and then you would hear the steam come out. But it was going to be beyond anything I had ever tried to release, since it was currently like incinerating temperature. I wasn't going to give it time. So instead of using my hand, I decided I would use my boot. I would stand up. So I stood on the engine, and I started turning. Well, you can't tell, like you can't really feel on the cap that you've gone halfway, and now it will open some without coming off. So I'm sitting there with my foot trying to, next thing I know, it's getting like Old Faithful of like 10,000 degree 10,000 degree liquid, greenish, because it had a little bit of coolant in there as well. Just geysering out. Shot up. Unfortunately, I still had jeans on. Holy God. You better believe I got off of that car fast. But it cooled right down. All right. Let's keep rolling here and get to our next item. This is what your white child must endure for no reason. No reason. And then the person answers their own statement simply because they found themselves among blacks. Nice, cozy crew we have here tonight. Thank you all for coming over to my place. Marlene is here. Heather is here. Good to see you all. Janice is here. Give a like and a share if you could. Craig the man is here. So what do you think is happening in this video? Well, as you might imagine, this is a young adult, a white young adult, and we're not going to really watch but maybe a second of it. And he's being jumped because he is physically assaulted and attacked because he is white. So this person says here, and this is so typical, not 100,000 views to this tweet. 100,000. It's amazing how if you're going to be anti-black or anti-Jewish, or you can have tweets go thermonuclear on X. But if you're white positive, throttled. Absolutely throttled. So here you have 100,000 dark side, almost at 100,000. This is what your white child must endure for no reason. So we can amend this and rewrite his sentence. This is what your white child must endure because of blacks. All right. So is it because of blacks? This is really just a Stark. If you could watch the whole video, you can go. I can't show you the whole video because YouTube is full of anti-white scum. I mean, goddamn. So I shouldn't say goddamn, but you can look out. Mark Dice could show this video. You could go watch this. Jeremy Hambley could show the whole video. I saw several days ago a clip of Hambley saying, what did he say about transgenders? He said something like, they're all sick. They're all, if I were to articulate that construction as my opinion, that would be it. 100%. You know something else that's fact. And of course, what is it about Hambley that makes him okay? He's leading you down the primrose path. Nothing good's going to come from the abstractions. Nothing. All of these clips showing up now all over YouTube of Lil Nicky and other Jew spurgs out there leading you down the path. Nowhere helpful or productive. But me, white positivity, different story. So what's happening in this long video? I mean, it's 26 seconds, and you know the physical assault, this anti-white lynching. Notice, if you are anti-non-white, where we put the focus. Anti-white, anti-us. Focus is on us, not on the people doing the beating. Anti-us. Anti-white lynching. We're being lynched. The body of our people is being lynched. Do you think this one individual was so egregious in life that could, irrespective of the crowd, could warrant this? Of course not. No, this is a lynching, an anti-white lynching, as a revenge within the anti-white narrative. So do you think it's that it's blacks? Did you know that blacks, where the white man is proud, where the white man's law and justice system prevails, blacks behave admirably? Did you know that? Did you know that you have responsibility to create those conditions instead of just complaining like a vegetable? Like you are some powerless bitch? Because that's all you are. When you're sitting there saying, it's the blacks again, nothing's going to ever happen to the blacks. They're never going anywhere. For your whole life, they're not going anywhere. Nothing's going to happen to the blacks. You're not going to shame the black. You feeling better about hearing this person or that person say something bad about the blacks is not going to stop this kind of behavior. Black people behave really well in systems that are run and operated by white men, and our norms are enforced. Now, how do we remedy this? How do we remedy the beatings? How do we remedy the anti-white lynchings? We become a people. We enforce our will. We establish our norms in policing and criminal justice. We reestablish our norms in educational institutions. We can only do that by becoming a people. You can complain all day and get 100,000 views with such a pathetic, a piss-ant pathetic bitch conclusion. This is what your white kids have to go through because of blacks. No, it's because of you, dark side. I assume you're white. Maybe you're not. Maybe you want to keep, maybe you're anti-white. You want to keep white people focused on anti-non-white lenses and behavior. Maybe that's why you're doing this, because you want us to continue to harm ourselves, to continue to remain weak. You're part of the AIDS of the white race. Maybe that's why. But the reality is, and there's no arguing the reality, if white men control our lives, if we enforce our will, if we take the reins of our destiny and take steps to secure our people, then you could have one white kid in an all-black school and there wouldn't be nobody touching. No one would touch him. No one would touch him. Just a reality check to run it by those who are still not sure. A government building has a sign inside that says Hispanic Heritage Month, says Craig. What is a good rebuttal for that? Well, it depends who you're talking to. And what are you trying to accomplish with that individual? Are you trying to bring them to white well-being, white positivity, the go-free practice? Are you trying to end a conversation with an anti-white or a vague? I mean, all of these months that celebrate non-white, the entire non-white groups are an opportunity to talk about the celebration of the white race. And your interlocutor, whether or not they are as excited about the celebration of the white race, we don't need a month to just focus on really all year long, we whites in our societies, just like we would expect that the Japanese all year long are celebrating their greats. It's in their society. The Chinese, their greats, their heroes, their aspirations in their societies all year long. And we should be doing the same. We should absolutely be doing the same. So what does it say to the population to have these cutouts for Hispanic month, Black month, Jewish month, gay, lesbian, transsexual, pedophilic month, which seems to come around several times a year? What does it say about the culture that we live in, that social morality, if all of that is celebrated and included, and the only thing excluded is expressly the white race, Western kind? That's how I would go about it with almost anybody. I mean, a hardcore anti-white, I would just shut them down and move on. You don't have time for them. But it's a great teaching opportunity. Every one of these instances of news or anti-whiteism at a government institution, etc., is a great opportunity to use it to catalyze an awakening for white well-being, or at least some of those concepts that the person can pick up and use in their lives, right? Great question, though, brother. I was meeting my high school girlfriend's parents for the first time. I had just learned how to drive stick and parked on a hill in front of their house. That is either very brave or very rash, my friend. When I left, I burned the tires. That's great. In front of their parents. It's like revving, them RPMs are redlining, dump it into gear. You can smell the clutch burning from like 2 cities away. That's funny. Then they didn't have cell phone to call her or anything? Was it before that, or did she have a cell phone? Did they light it up? Get home right now. Hyperborean Dream says, you knew of the turn of the heat on to cool the car off as well? Craig says he farted at an ex-girlfriend's birthday party while someone was giving a speech. There was probably 100 people present. So you emotionally broke down. What happened? Or did you mean to do that? Lost a rear tire on my Goldwing interstate on the highway once. How fast were you traveling? A wild ride, getting pulled over, says the Tree Godfather, and ended up towing it 70 miles. Wow. The Tree Godfather. Reining it in. I bet that was a wild ride, my friend. Okay. Why don't we do some... Where do we have quick news and laughs? Let's roll with some of that. We're sorry, we're having problems playing the video. Stop having the problems then. That girl's lost her mind, hasn't she? She's constantly in dance mode. Aliens, when they come to abduct me and see I can't fall asleep. This mother effer. This mother fracker. Go to sleep, Jason. I'm trying to probe you. Me. It's medicinal. Cop. First of all, that's a prostitute. Me. It's my emotional support hooker. Yeah, that was Britney Spears. Breaking. A man armed with a machete attacks school children coming out of their school in France. This says moments ago. This was a few days ago. Fortunately, a police patrol was nearby and quickly shot him. As this was happening, there was in the UK another person being arrested for saying something online that made an anti-white unhappy. This is where anti-whiteism has taken us. Here's a great story. 12-year-old Lydia Kaiser has been back home for more than a week after being released from Children's Minnesota following the August 27 anti-white terror attack at Annunciation School and Church. You remember that psycho anti-white terrorist went and shot up the Catholic school, and this girl was shot in the head. They've actually had to remove a portion of her skull and move one portion to another portion, to another area on the skull, and she's now able to spend some time at home, and that's a wonderful thing. If you've got a time for a prayer, send it out to this little sweetheart, Lydia Kaiser, who is really going to have an uphill time for the rest of her life, I imagine. God willing, the white man's medicine will save her. This is Stop Anti-Whiteism. Get this man some salutes for his epic memes. By the way, Stop Anti-Whiteism. We were celebrating you the other day and your memes on the Tree Godfather space.
Facilities firebombed, left wing. The Minnesota Catholic school shooting, left wing. The anti-white Charlotte and North Carolina stabbing, left wing. The attempted Utah news.
Yes, we did this. He ran down through all of these events, just calling them left wing, until he got to Zarustka and he says anti-white stabbing. That is because of the dialectic and the arguments that we are waging.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, all over social media. Senator Schmidt, big salutes, brother. Let's keep it going.
The ICE facilities firebombed.
Dearborn, Michigan residents post what they're forced to listen to 5 times a day. Listen up. My God. Listen to that. How would you like to listen to that 5 times a day? Well, you're going to have to if we don't defeat anti-whiteism. I'm sure they're wonderful people. I'm sure there are some wonderful singers in their communities. But that ghastly noise right there, sounded like the raping of a bloodhound by an elephant. Shaggy. Take a look at this one. No man, no roster, no situationship, just myself and I. BS. She's trying to hook up big time. She's got her cowboy boots on. Wonder why she's trying to hook up right now. Oh, that's why.
Well. Well.
So this guy writes here, they always trade in their high top sneakers called Air Jordans for cowboy boots after they get themselves a black baby. What a surprise. Go yourselves, anti-white pigs. We don't want anything to do with you. Take a look at this, sweetheart. She said, I will never be an American. I will die a trafficked Chinese person because, quote, Americans bought me. The colonial capitalist settler regime will never have my mind or heart. I will never sell my soul to them. The, quote, elites, the bourgeoisie, I will die before I sell my soul. So a white couple adopted this Chinese girl from an orphanage whose parents didn't want her. And this is what anti-whiteism did to her. Well, I mean, you saw it with the that black quarterback for San Francisco, didn't you? The exact same thing. White family adopted him, put him in the great schools, paid for all of it, got him, and most importantly, Kaepernick in contact with all of these little socialized groups that if you're not in them, it doesn't matter how white you are, you're not getting anything or anywhere or had zero, period. Put him in contact, all these non-whites, and they felt Kaepernick's family, this girl's parents, they felt that they're doing something really moral because they're measuring their morality by way of that anti-white moral metric. And this is how they're repaid. They should be repaid, inevitably repaid, because it's that same anti-white moral metric that motivates this Chinese girl and Kaepernick to come to the conclusion that the white parents are evil, that the white society is evil. We have this all figured out. Where is everybody? Louisiana nurse Dustin Clark, who's also a drag queen, was just arrested for allegedly abusing his infant, adopted baby, because the baby was being fussy. The baby ended up in the hospital with a fractured skull because of the abuse. I was just curious, when I saw this. This is such a tiny percentage of the population, and then it's a tiny percentage of that population who adopt babies or buy babies or whatever, and then they're in the news, as far as I can tell, pretty often from beating or raping the babies. Something's going on there. Me stepping into church for the first time in forever, the priest saying, "The devil is among us today." I was like, is it over there? It's not here, is it? That's not me. Oh my God. Take a look at this garbage right here. Today, thanks to this proud Asian Indian, I learned about the L1B. Remember, I told you all about this one. So much more effective than the H1B visa. Even more streamlined than H1B. Just a lateral transfer, rubber stamped by multinationals. No fake IDs, no interviews, no labor test. And they brag about it on TikTok. Not only is she bragging about it here, she's telling other Indians how to do it. How did I enter the USA? She points to dependent H4 visa. No. Master's degree, so good college. No. H1B visa. No. That's not how you get here. Tourist visa? No, that you don't white erase the white race in their countries by these means. No. L1B visa through an MNC. This is how we're being white erased in a massive way. And look at her big smile on her face. She's like, I got to leave that shithole. And now I get to live in the white man's country, and I can make it look more like home so that I don't feel uncomfortable in this white man's environment. Now, I'm sure not all of her country that she came from is a shithole, but she wouldn't have left if it was nice. Nonprofit pays bail for man who attacked his wife. Hours after getting out, he murdered her. Take a look at this community. You might have to screenshot and look at it later. All of these people are anti-whites. Ignore the obvious garbage anti-white that beat and then murdered his wife. But look at all these anti-whites. The bail project. We get them out so they can repeat again. Repeat offender. That's what we facilitate. Repeat offending. When the airport security pulls my bag for extra screening, and suddenly I'm not sure if I pack socks or explosives. Actually, it's like a serious concern. If you have firearms, if your gun bags or anything touches something you take to the airport, their sniffers can smell any residue of powder. And you can have some thorough screening going on. Take a look at this over in the UK. You got these two guys hanging up the national flag, the Union Jack. And here's this anti-white, white pig woman. She writes, she says, police, you need to send a car because they're still filming me and are really racist and really mean. She actually said that. Look. Look, she's wearing that car cover of a top because of the way she's built. Ladies, I mean, just embrace it. Whatever it is, get in better shape. I mean, good God. But here she is. She's called the police. And unfortunately, these two blokes, they must be of the conservative type because they think just filming her, harassing them is accomplishing something. I guess maybe they hope to defend themselves. But remember, all she has to say over there is that she felt offended or intimidated. It doesn't matter that she keeps throwing their ladder to the ground. She does it repeatedly.
What do you need me in the face?
Got it on camera. Got it on camera.
Why'd you attack me, my ladder?
Seen enough of it, but she pulls down that ladder like 4 more times. This is another one of those videos. This just happened.
It's disgusting. This young boy, vicious.
Young boy. It's just another young boy.
He attacks this old man who works at a stadium because.
Is it just that he's old, that he's getting attacked? I'm going to go ahead and bet that some of this ferocity had to do with the fact that the guy is white.
The man just told him to go sit in his correct seat. The man ended up losing his glasses. He was defenseless, and he just
look at this.
Went off on him. Now, this is part of the reason why I used to expose the music industry. Because
so there you have another example. That's why I wanted to include this, of misattribution. From cucks all the time, you hear this, oh, it's the music, or it's the gaming, or it's the what is the source of the problem for the music then and the gaming? If it's the music and the gaming that is causing the bad behavior, then what caused the bad behavior in the music and the gaming that is causing it's misattribution. So what ends up happening for a lot of conservative people happens for a different reason with schmucks as well. What ends up happening when you misattribute the cause of the problem, you end up chasing your tail. You end up jumping from lily pad to lily pad, trying to find the answer without ever making any progress. You're never nearing shore. You're never getting to a productive area where you can literally make change in the world. And the reason why? Because of the social morality. You find it objectionable to talk about the victimization of the white race as a group, the demonization of the white race as a group. And so then as a consequence, you can have this misattribution. So all he did was, all of the other content creators that you come across, they're going to be talking about, well, look at the behavior of the black kid or young man, or I don't know how old he is. Look at the behavior of the black guy. We can't talk. I just have black fatigue. Folks, they've had black fatigue since 5 greats back in your history. And it's called biospiritual incompatibility. The difference is that our norms have been white erased and the enforcement has been white erased. So they'll all be talking about the black kid, if it's the schmucks. If it's cucks, they'll be talking about the music industry and we need better music. We need better role models for our black youth. Shut the fuck up. I can't even stand it. These people should all kill their speed. Washington's state healthcare industry hiring management confirms they research the social media accounts of new applicants, and any applicants who have, quote, anything about conservative views, Republican views, right-leaning views, close quote, are not hired. And why did anybody ever think that anti-whites in positions, nodes of power where hiring is done would not do this? Why would anybody think they would not do this? They hate you. Of course. If they get the least, I mean, this is really when it comes to white females that they're going to go research your social media, because as a white male, you're just not going to get hired. You're just not going to get the promotion. You're just not going to get, so forget about it. But this is like white females. They're going to go hunt. Is she conservative? But obviously it's going to happen for guys too. Are they not anti-white enough? Are they heretical to anti-whiteism? Well, then they're not getting hired here. It has nothing to do with the job whatsoever. They'll find any excuse. And by the way, they know all of the excuses. This holds true not only for hiring, but for promotion. It holds true for contract awards. It holds true for enrollment at university. It holds true everywhere. They know the reasons that are the acceptable reasons to not be hired, for example, but they can come to the need of those reasons by any means. And that's what they're, is it not fair? Is it not right? Well, that's how the world works. You want to fix it, you got to go free.
The mayor of London is Muslim. The mayor of Birmingham is a Muslim. The mayor of Leeds is Muslim. The mayor of Blackburn is Muslim. The mayor of Sheffield is Muslim. The mayor of Oxford is a Muslim. The mayor of Luton is a Muslim. The mayor of Oldham is a Muslim. The mayor of Rochdale is a Muslim.
Wow.
All of this was achieved by only 4 million Muslims out of the 66 million people in England. Today in England, there are over 3,000 mosques. There are over 130 Sharia courts in England, and there are more than 50 Sharia councils. 78% of Muslim women do not work and receive state support and free accommodation. 63% of Muslims do not work and receive state support and free housing. State-supported Muslim families have an average of 6 to 8 children who all receive free accommodation.
Wow.
Every school in the UK is required to teach about Islam. The number one most common baby name in England is Muhammad. This is not immigration. This is invasion.
Now, this is the way I want you. Remember, I don't endorse or condone any of the news I share in the quick news and laughs. I just bring it to you, what others are reporting and saying. But this is the way that the white race needs to view this, is that when a country, when a landmass where there are human beings doesn't have a people occupying it, then peoples will fill the void. Does that make sense? England does not have a people occupying it. It has citizens. It has selfish individualists. When a creation of the animal known as of human being, Homo sapiens, what we refer to as a country, when it is not occupied by a people, then there is a vacuum. And peoples like Arab Muslims or like Jews or like blacks or like etc. will fill the void. It's like you're looking at physics, and the universe abhors a void. There's things are going to fill the void. The same thing holds true with the socio-political constructions, these fictions, these states that human beings create. If there isn't a people to occupy it, then other peoples will fill the void. So this woman runs down this list of a people growing, burgeoning, exercising their power, having, obviously, as we talk about here, numerical courage. This is a consequence of what? What is the remedy to this? Peoplehood is the remedy to this. If you don't want to lose the construct of a state that we created, then you have to be a people. It doesn't exist without a people. It's like a piñata. It's empty with the exception of the isolated individualistic pieces of candy. You break open a leg and all of the individuals fall on the ground. And then you can fill the body of it up again with another people or peoples. But they don't want to talk to us. We have clearly the answers, but they want to know the opinions of the cucks and the schmucks. Authorities say he might be disguised as a man. This is news. Tyler Robinson's trans partner flees the couple's Utah townhouse after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. So there you have it. It's pretty funny there. Authorities say he might be disguised as a man. So the lover has Lance's Twigs is on the run. It's on the run. So I'm guessing the noose of justice was closing in around him. Of course, this is subject to new reportage, but keep your eyes open. Holy crap, the day Charlie Kirk was killed, everyone was focused on that. Gavin Newsom and California Democrats rammed through an online censorship bill. This is obviously going to have to go to federal courts because it says here, if you post something and you're as a California resident on social media, anywhere online, that the state of California deems to be hateful, in other words, not anti-white enough, there's a penalty for that reckless violation, a civil penalty of up to $500,000. For an intentional effort of being hateful, as determined by the state and therefore anti-whites of California, the penalty is $1 million. As more and more states become anti-white, this will become your hometown. The night before Charlie Kirk was murdered, Erica Kirk called a friend to come over to their house to pray for Charlie after the feminist anti-white website Jezebel paid witches on Etsy to curse him, according to Megyn Kelly.
And while their article about all of this it was published on Monday, September 8th, it makes clear that the writer contacted contracted for the curse in late August. She says she wanted it to line up with the new moon in Virgo, which this year meant August 23rd. That tracks because she points out in the piece that by August 24th, she was waiting impatiently for results. The witch, they reveal, promised on August 23rd that, quote, you will see the first results within 2 to 3 weeks. This was 18.
Now, we here know that this is all fake. And that's why the verbiage is such by these witches. They say things like, you'll begin to see the results in 2 to 3 weeks. It's always this vagueness so that they can interpret what ends up happening out in the world. Now that Kirk has been assassinated, they will paint the bullseye around the dart that they threw against the wall. I would love for all anti-whites to start believing and working through witchcraft. Please be my guest. Crazy pregnant lib woman guzzle Tylenol to own Trump. So yeah, because RFK pointed out, I guess in the research, even Tylenol says from all the way back in like 2015 or so, that Tylenol causes drop in IQ in the baby if you take it while you're pregnant. I don't know all the details. You have to check it out for yourself. So lowering the IQ by taking Tylenol. And every white woman who's pregnant has a doctor telling her, oh, this hurts, that hurts, take Tylenol. It's totally safe. Ladies, don't take anything if you're pregnant. Nothing. Eat meat and vegetables. For the love of God. It hurts because it's supposed to hurt. But if you eat meat and vegetables, your body will take care of it properly. And drink lots of water. But yeah, so you have all these anti-white women now, pregnant, really pregnant, big bellies, and they're like chugging Tylenol. Good. I mean, you already are going to produce something that genetically is a vegetable. So help it a little further. And finally, we have, for quick news and laughs, we have this.
I don't like racism. Thank you. I don't get it. Why would you hate? Why would you choose to hate? Why would you choose to hate an entire group of people just because of the way they all behave?
Yes. Yeah, just because of that.
I don't like.
You preach of love, equality, and peace, while erasing my kin, you're a vile disease. Sanctimonious fools with lies and deceit. You speak of humanity, but wish us obsolete. You brand us with guilt for your anti-white gold, but I see your scheme, your rotten soul exposed. I see you now, you snakes in the grass. Cowards and leeches, your virtue won't last. With eyes of ice, I watch you squirm. Envy laid bare, your fuel for the burn. You talk of justice, yet come our name. Erase our history, except where you defame. You whine for empathy while you conspire to snuff out our people, fan anti-white fire. But your masks are slipping, your guise is decrepit, your patheticness like bad trains to flee the credit. I see you now, you snakes in the grass. Cowards and leeches, your virtue won't last. With eyes of ice, I watch you squirm. Envy laid bare, your fuel for the burn. Want us to bow, to fade, to kneel, but we stand tall, your lies revealed. You preach your love, but seethe with spite. Anti-whites exposed, we receive your blight.
Give it up for the great slots. The Slotsian tune here. Hello to everybody who has shown up. Over the course of the quick news and laughs, we've got our main stories coming up. Jimmy Kimmel is back. Dallas ICE facility is pelted with warfare terrorism. And finally, how did the kids get this way? How did we get anti-whites like that? Epic tune. Let's continue. We got Slots himself tagging me over here on Premium Rumble. He said, not blacks, it was a Mexican or Asian. There would be no attack. If the one attacked was Mexican or Asian, I mean, precisely, yeah. It's all about the person, the victim being white, 100%. The great Slots, maker of the music, extraordinary mind. What a champion. Great to see you, brother. And hello to everybody over there on Premium Rumble. And let me check D Live if we have any comments. Not yet. And Odyssey. All right. No comment, no other comments in the live chat on Twitter. Yeah, that's right, on Twitter. Sophia is here. The Westman is here. Good to see you. Who else has shown up? Any tags over here? We'll get into our next news item. Jimmy Kimmel. You thought it was over. Tweety Pie. Hello and welcome. Samuski says, I noticed the great Samuski champion. I noticed the church bells have stopped ringing in my neighborhood. Oh, yeah. That only happened here when I was a child. Long gone. He says, and I suspect it may have to do with the increasing Muslim population being offended at the sound of them and Jews. Yeah. I remember years ago, there was an area in Florida, a long time, it's like 20 years. And you know what? It's probably happened more than once, though. But there was an area in Florida where a lot of Jewish people were moving. And then they immediately, once they reached whatever amount, began lobbying the local government, I guess the county government, to outlaw the display of crosses on the side of the road where people had lost their lives in auto accidents, and either their fault or someone else's or total accident. And they just didn't want to see the crosses. They didn't want to see the Christianity as they drove down the road. So they're like, it's got to go. This is the disharmony, the biospiritual disharmony. Causes a lot of friction. As soon as you have numerical courage, and it's a great study of numerical courage when it comes to Jewish people and Muslim people, for example, because in the case of Jewish people, it is their, what do we call it? I mean, ethnicity, because they are various ethnicities of them. It is their Jewish identity. They have the purest form and of identity because it transcends ethnicity, country, religion. That's what we have to emulate. Arabs with Islam, and specifically Arabs, I know there are Muslims of various races, but specifically you see that while Jewish identity empowers Jewish people well beyond their numbers, so does Islam for Arab people. Not as much as identity for Jewish people, but damn near. So you could see this ultimately a tiny number. And we just played a video of that. They're their version of a preacher showing up at local businesses, videotaping himself, bringing somebody from their religion, from their community, to videotape him as he told the store proprietors, if you sell pornography, if you sell alcohol, if you sell tobacco, we are going to protest your business, protest you right out of business. So what would they do? The whole community would come and it would be forced on that business owner. That's how it works. So it's a great study in understanding numerical courage. On the other end of the spectrum, the white race operating as selfish individualists, not having a people, even if some groups of whites share the same national flag or the same type of breakfast. It doesn't matter how many there are of us. No power. We are so vitiated. We are so gutted by the selfish individualism and that social morality that there could be 20 times the number of white people and all of this shit would still be happening. Kind of also speaks to the idiocy of the guy who showed up insulting me on Sunday, saying, "You don't have a slew of white kids, so you've done nothing. You've done nothing. Look at me. I've got like 8 kids with 7 baby mama. I'm the winner. My wages are garnished to pay for all them babies. So what I do is I don't work with my social security number. I'm the true hero here." Class act, buddy. Firelight is here. Good to see you. All right, let's keep it moving with our cozy crew here. Nexstar. So of the two major media promulgators of ABC Entertainment and news reporters, etc., Nexstar says, not so fast. We're not putting Jimmy back yet. We don't buy the fake apology. Nexstar doubles down on Jimmy Kimmel's live blackout after host tearful non-apology. Jimmy Kimmel's late night talk show will continue to be blacked out in dozens. So you probably heard the news. He's coming back. Well, not in all markets. Not until he satisfies the people at Nexstar. Because he will be continue to be blacked out in dozens of cities nationwide after one of the largest owners of ABC affiliates appeared unconvinced by his teary-eyed monologue from Tuesday. I haven't seen it, but I heard that it was total garbage, a non-apology. Actually, as I say that, I just remembered that was one of the videos of Stefan Molyneux's that I must have, obviously I saw years ago. I think he called it BNAP, bullshit non-apology. Nexstar is continuing to evaluate the status of Jimmy Kimmel Live. Now, here's the thing I just wanted to mention about this. So you probably heard a little bit about this. Jimmy Kimmel's coming back. Why? Have you seen his actual ratings? People have been talking about that. A lot of conservatives, a lot of cucks out there have been talking about it to try to disavow responsibility for censoring him, which is a cucky thing to do. I would absolutely censor him. He's anti-white as all hell. He should not be allowed to speak. That's my opinion. I don't have the power to make that happen, but I'm not ashamed of that in the slightest. You make a business of telling the world, of demonizing the white race, dehumanizing the white race. As a consequence of that, we get violent anti-whiteism inflicted on innocent white people. White people, Jews can immediately, radar goes off, and they're like, what, you are portraying Jews in a bad light. That will get Jews killed. White people, totally oblivious. They're like the dumb booby walking along and getting clubbed to death for tonight's dinner. They're just like, what are you doing with the stick? Plow. And the next one comes along. You got a stick? That's how dumb the white race is. So, yes, I would want to put him out of business. If the Foundation for White Wellbeing had the financial resources that the ADL did, I would put him out of business immediately. Because the kind of slop that he peddles in, this dehumanization and vilification of the white race, puts all white lives in jeopardy. So not ashamed about that at all. Cucks, though, are saying, oh, no. We're not getting him shut down. It's because of his poor ratings. So they've been talking about the ratings everywhere and showing everybody the ratings. And you look at the ratings, and if you've ever run a business or you operated that part of a business for some employer, you wonder, why is he still on the air? Look at the numbers here. This guy can only get like 100-some thousand people to watch a show, nationally syndicated, gone. Absolutely gone. Well, the reason why is he's satisfying the ideology, the religion of anti-whiteism. He's a hardcore anti-white. He's selling anti-whiteism. He's repeating anti-whiteism. He's another voice, another iteration of anti-whiteism in the wilderness of the world. That's the only reason he's still on the air. And that's something that this community understands. It's something that we really have to appreciate. It's something we see all the time when it comes to businesses, isn't it? What's the difference between Kimmel on late night television, who's selling a terrible product, and the product Victoria's Secret was selling before they had to reel it back a tiny bit? Several times now, just in the last couple of years. We can go from business to business to business and see that the ideology of anti-whiteism is always the most important element of what they do. Profit is second, and they will suffer loss for a long time in the name of morality, anti-white morality, before they make a decision to reel it in some. And then, of course, they just start all over again, incrementally pushing toward the anti-white morality, which is the anti-white immoral imperative. See how easy this works? If you want to go free, you can become a hero and understand the world. Or you can screw around on some of these other shows. Here's the big news. The rolling boil of one-sided warfare is taking on more of the characteristics of typical warfare, what is understood, that more of the average midwit can grasp and put their hands around mentally. It's got a gun, shooting people. Therefore, it's warfare. Joshua John ID'd as anti-ICE. Anti-ICE, you mean anti-white terrorist, not gunman, who opened fire on Dallas facility, killing a migrant. The two other people, I don't know who they are, but they are also innocent, whoever they are, but they must not be migrants because they're not mentioning them yet. The anti-white terrorist, and we're translating here, and that's one of the exercises in Go Free. You translate everything into our story. The anti-white terrorist who opened fire on by the way, this is the same ICE facility. And I want you to think about, too, it's really important. Same ICE facility that just had a bomb threat, a real bomb, like a credible, not just some psycho. I guess you'd be a psycho to be an anti-white terrorist and plant a bomb. Just like the one they was planted, very little talk about it, immediately after Kirk's anti-white terrorists assassinated him. There were anti-white terrorist attacks that swept the country. One of them was a bomb placed under a Fox News van. And I think the guy was caught while lighting it, while initiating the bomb. So here's another one. Now, what is it about ICE and what ICE is doing? What is ICE impeding? Maybe a better way to say that. It's impeding white erasure of the United States. by shipping out illegal trespassers, intruders, however you want to refer to them, by shipping them out, you are impeding white erasure. They want more non-white people, not fewer. And almost all of these people who illegally entered, my opinion, but maybe you hold the same opinion, are not white. And so, as a consequence, this is like a supreme evil. You're not only arresting the continuation or ramping up of white erasure by way of literal non-white bodies, as is being done all over Europe in spades, but you are, at least convincingly to these people, reducing the white erasure. Every non-white person you remove from a white country, you are reducing the white erasure. That is like the most immoral thing that you can do, for which you must die, according to an anti-white. It is the most immoral thing you can do. When anti-whites make decisions short of you must die, what kind of things do they do? And this is why it's warfare all along, but only in this sense can most of the midwits understand it. They'll make any excuse at all to keep the non-white in the country. They'll argue anything at all. He's being murdered in his country. Mother owns a taco stand and the neighbors want to kill him because he got into an argument with them over the mother's taco stand. He's crazy. He can't be sent back. He can't fend for himself. And then we have instances like the one in Maryland where the mother of 5 was raped and murdered by an anti-white that had been caught numerous times intruded into this country illegally, caught numerous times. But all of these arguments, all of these layers of red tape, of bureaucracy, of lawyers who will step up, of activists who will step up, that is warfare. They want to keep him here, not for his benefit, but to harm us. Because his body is white erasure to the United States. And they know that at a fundamental level. So they made, it didn't matter how crazy, how criminal, what his background was. He's vetted any of these claims. None of that matters. None of it matters at all. It serves the objective of white erasure. And so he goes and murders, rapes and murders this white woman with 5 children who now don't have a mother. Oh, well. And then he was just adjudicated to be mentally incompetent. He can't go to prison. And if we dig down there, I would put every dollar I have. There aren't many of them, but I would put every dollar I have that if we were to dig down into who the judge was, who the prosecutor was, what their background, are they anti-white? I would bet every dollar that they're hardcore anti-whites. And they were just looking for a reason to keep him in the country, to handle him with kid gloves, because the person he victimized is one of those raped and murdered. And those 5 children who no longer have their mother, they are the 6 of them part of that evil race. So it's justice, it's moral. So take a look at this thing. Another anti-white piece of garbage. So he fired at the facility from a Dallas rooftop. And he has been identified as Joshua John. Law enforcement sources told the Post. I believe he killed himself. The words anti-ICE were scrawled on a stripper clip of ammo found near the body of John, 29, who died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. One migrant who was being transported to the facility was killed, and 2 others were wounded and in critical condition. So who were the others that were they They didn't call them migrants, so who were they? Are they actual officers? According to the Department of Homeland Security. There you can see the rounds. Oh, I see. Look at that. Jesus. I can confirm at this point that the FBI is investigating this incident as an act of targeted violence, terror, anti-white terrorism. Joe Rothrock, special agent in charge of the FBI in Dallas, said, It is unfortunately just the latest example we've seen of targeted violence to include here in North Texas, where back on July 4, we saw a coordinated attack against an immigration center in Alvarado. Look at this. God, he looks like such a clown in that jacket. I'd probably look good in that jacket. He looks like the Pillsbury Doughboy. And his voice is awful, isn't it? And I want to say, and we shut up. Wednesday's attack was the third shooting attack against ICE, or U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents, since July, coming as rhetoric from Democrat politicians against the agency has ratcheted up. Just hours before, what are the Republicans doing? And the big cuck content creators? It's an abstraction. It's not about the white race. They're not talking about the white erasure of America. It's the abstraction of the rhetoric. And then, of course, they follow that up with, and everyone needs to cool it down, as though the right wing has been up to anything of substance. In this sense, defined in this sense. Just hours before John unleashed a spray of bullets on the Dallas facility, California Governor Gavin Newsom spewed anti-ICE rhetoric during the appearance. So ICE is representing the white race, just like law enforcement represents the white race. These are the norms of the system remain, the enforcement of the norms of the system that remains. And this is what I say that's so point out is so troubling for white people, and should be, is that you could go to cities where law enforcement has almost been completely white erased. The chief is non-white, a deputy chief is non-white, the norms for policing white erased, taking all of these various forms, and still any wrongdoing by law enforcement is blamed on the white race. It always will be. It always, even if we can easily envision a scenario where there are no white people left in a white country anymore. Maybe you could, maybe South Africa is the closest to that happening. No white people left. And wherever there is still something that troubles those in power, they will blame it on the legacy and the systems of the white race that will serve those in power for generations after white people are gone. For generations. The boogeyman of this villain, this monster of the anti-white narrative, will continue to serve in absentia, in death, those in power and those who are striving for power. I can promise you, in the whatever white country that is completely white erased of white people, no white soul left trotting the earth where we built Western civilization, there will be adversarial parties to the parties in power that will argue to the population, because of the anti-white narrative that they're living under still, that the non-white people in power, the anti-white non-white in people, are perpetuating the systems, the norms, the oppression of the white race. And that's why they have to be dethroned. 100%. And you know, as I say it, you immediately realize, yeah. The Democratic leader described federal agents as the private domestic army of an authoritarian government and said the ICE issue is alarming beyond words. What would make hardcore anti-whites like ICE? Now, ICE has this directive, of course, of collecting illegal intruders of various types, moving them out. They were very much more amenable to them or tolerable of them when they took their balls off, when they castrated them, when they said, you'll just pick them up. If you'll pick them up at all, we'll just defund. But the way that an anti-white could really like ICE is when they change their mission. And don't think that wouldn't happen. The smarter thing to do for an anti-white in government is not to try to abolish ICE. Why would you do that and make the white race get nervous? No, the smarter thing to do, and the devious anti-whites will come to this conclusion, and the dumber ones will obey the smarter ones, unlike what we have here in the white race. They'll come to the conclusion of, we'll keep ICE. It'll just have a new mission. That mission will involve anti-whiteism. Then Governor Newscomb will love ICE. Then he'll sing the praises of ICE. Republican politicians, meanwhile, are begging for the hateful rhetoric to be toned down. You hear that? We just mentioned it. They're begging for the hateful rhetoric to be toned. Dial it back. Everybody needs to dial it back. There's Ted Cruz. Violence is wrong. He said, thanks for really, you're going out on a limb there, Ted. Violence is wrong. Whoa, did you hear how edgy that bitch is? Man, no wonder we vote for him. Violence is wrong. Republicans, you really just, they are some tough son bitches, aren't they? They'll go out there and they'll be like, cancer is bad. Violence is wrong. Politically motivated violence is wrong to every politician. And then when you say something like this, what ends up happening? How will Ted, the castrated Cruz, you like how I did that? How will he get tied up in a knot? Because the anti-whites will come along and say, your speech is violence. And then he'll debate whether or not his speech is violence. And the conversation is won again by the anti-whites. They're having the argument on the field of their choosing. They're defining the terms. Cruz is running on defense. It's as easy. It couldn't be easier to see it happening. Can you believe how many people I reached out to for employment over the years that are like, nah, we don't want this guy. Nope, not that guy. To every politician demanding that ICE agents be doxxed and calling for people to go after their families, stop. Cruz, man, you're special. Do you wear one of them little bike helmets everywhere you go? And not even on a bike, just like out on a walk. To everyone calling for ICE agents to be doxxed, stop. Them are tough words. He's like this close to calling out people to meet him at the OK Corral. You know? He's almost ready. High noon. OK Corral. So let's just, so here's the anti-white animal that murdered a person and maybe more, ruined the lives of two more. They're in critical condition. So you don't come back and are normal after that. Like you have things like a missing bladder. half of your liver gone, a missing kidney. Life's not the same. The guy described his brother as unique. He's not a marksman, that's for sure. He would not be able to make any shots like that. Noah said, this is the brother. So all that we don't know a lot about this guy yet. At least I haven't had a chance to really dig into it. He's just like a basic bitch anti-white. Every basic bitch anti-white can pick up a gun and start shooting. Every basic bitch anti-white. What will that do to the machinery of state? It's not going to happen right now. This is the beginning of the rolling boil in the United States. And there will be periods where it'll go quiet. It'll go dormant for a little longer. But this is it. If we don't recapture our destiny by way of becoming a people, the rolling boils will be with increasing frequency, more significant, more deadly, more widespread, more random violence. And it will, of course, include not only random socio-political shootings, but it will also include the intimidation, the threats by public officials on private entities, the circumventing and undermining of the churches. It'll also take place at the bars when anti-whites of one race or various races gang up to maul or beat or even murder a white guy that's there, or rape a white woman that's there. It is so multifarious that it's a blur and a challenge to try to capture every aspect of it. But we can shine these little spot beams on these different incidents, dissect and understand why it's happening, where it came from, and where it's going. And we get these predictions right. We get these predictions right all the time. Unlike, it reminds me today, we're hearing about YouTube, Google saying, by way of Jim Jordan, we're going to, and I want to give a thank you to Kate for getting me these news items, but saying, Google is now going to reevaluate, let people back on YouTube that were kicked off for their views and etc. I remember seeing one or two clips by Fuentes where he said that the Trump getting elected again is going to result in the most widespread censorship that has ever happened in the United States. And he gave the reason that the Republican Party, the mainstream Republicans and mainstream cucks would need to silence the hardcore right wing. So it would be just the most widespread censorship you've ever seen. How much you want to hazard a bet that the boy crushers from his audience are going to conveniently forget those predictions now that Fuentes was allowed back on X, and it seems countless other Juicebergs allowed back on X. Gab has been allowed to continue operating as the sewer it is, and now you have Google saying, these people are going to be allowed to come back too. It's the opposite of that. In fact, how much do you want to bet that they'll say that Fuentes predicted that the censorship would disappear? That's how sick they are. He could literally be witnessed on top of a hobo, full on going at it with a hobo, and his audience wouldn't care. So this is the course. This is where we're going. Actual shootings. There'll be bombings. There were bombings by anti-whites in the past when they're not getting their way. Anti-whites, by way of the Black Panthers, took over an entire state government building, walked in there with firearms, rifles. And bombings at the Capitol. There are going to be more until the anti-whites are able to push back on those that are, even without saying so, troubling the machinery and objective of anti-whiteism. That's why our work is so important. Where does it all come from? Let me take a look at what you all are saying. Where does this start in life? Where does the creation, where does the education, the brain poisoning begin in life? Let me see if there are any tags here for me. First Last says he likes the piñata metaphor. Well, thank you, brother. Aaron is with us. Who else is here? Lucky. Good to see you. All right, don't see anything else here. Recon, good to see you. Where do you go, my lovely? I want to know. Well, wouldn't you know it? Entropy was not working. Let's see if I can fix it. It's working now. Entropy is now working. Let me look for some tags over here. On a premium Rumble. Don't see anything. Over here on D-Lab. Well, D-Lab, they are rocking it. And I will make my way back. We will talk. We will acknowledge you, Chirp. Thank you so much. Odyssey. Let me refresh. All right. And I don't see anything new. Or do I? Shaking my head is here. Says, hi, master. No white guild. Good to see you. Thank you. All right. Where is it coming from? Then we're going to get to, where does it begin? How long is it taking place in your life? Then we're going to get to a short bit of edification in Prometheum Rising. We'll wrap it up tonight. At that point, we'll roll out. And remember that every day at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just about every day, the Shade Tree is here on X. You can participate in that conversation. I'd like to see you there. I show up irregularly, but I do show up, and I'm often listening. So I'll look for you there, and then otherwise back on Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Here you have it. Look at this peach. She's a registered Democrat voter, and she's finally seeing the indoctrination taking place after her 11-year-old daughter. You know, I almost don't like to call anti-whiteism indoctrination, because it implies that there is something that people are being indoctrinated from. Like the indoctrination is taking them from something, but there's nothing. There's no counterweight. This is the narrative. This is the anti-white narrative. This is what we live in. I mean, you think about this. Like if you lived in a country, if in Israel, and you started teaching the Jewish kids something contradictory to what the people hold, or what most of the people hold, opinion on A, B, or C in Israel, that could be deemed indoctrination, because there is something that you're taking them away from. But what are they taking the children away from? This is the air we breathe, is anti-whiteism. But we'll proceed. Democrat, registered Democrat, woman here in this clip. But Wall Street Apes is saying she's noticing the indoctrination taking place after her 11-year-old daughter came home from school saying, quote, "I hate Charlie Kirk." She's never spoke of Charlie Kirk, the daughter or the mother, but learned to hate Charlie Kirk at school. She's had enough. Quote, "They're teaching this in school. My turning point was when I realized they're influencing my children for real. That is actually influence on my child. For my child to turn to me and say, quote, 'I hate him,' close quote, for no reason. She couldn't back it up. That was my turning point," close quote. That's anti-whiteism. That's the anti-white instructor. Let's hear what this woman has to say in her own words.
When Charlie first died, when I first found out,
I got to turn her up some for me. I don't know if I can turn her up for y'all. Hold on. She's a little quiet. I have to have the AC on because I'm that kind of guy. All right. Let me see for y'all. All right. As loud as it gets.
I was upset. I didn't follow Charlie, but I would see his, videos online all the time, and I would think, wow, this guy, I don't know if I agree with everything he says because I didn't follow him like that. But this guy has like this open dialogue. It's very refreshing. I never saw it, and I respected him for that. Now, I'm a registered Democrat, but for the last 3 elections, and before that even, I don't vote for party. I vote for whoever I think is going to be the best and whoever we need. Having said that, I have realized that I do lean more on the conservative side now. But the one thing that really brought it home for me, the day Charlie died, my daughter came home from school. She's 11 years old. We live in Jersey, in Hudson County. It's a very Democratic, liberal area.
Anti-white, we translate.
And, my daughter goes to school. They're in 6th grade. These children have a lot to say about Trump supporters. And my daughter, from peer pressure and whatever, has felt weird that I'm a Trump supporter. And when I asked her when she got home if she knew who Charlie Kirk was and what happened, she turned to me and said, "Yeah, I hate that guy."
I want you to think about inoculating this daughter. What are the consequences of not inoculating her? The mother, her own mother, says she votes. They have very little political discussions in the house, but she votes for the person that she thinks will be best for people. But she is a registered, so she's obviously leaning that way, registered Democrat, voted for Democrats, family probably Democrat. A lot of white people in America, working class white people, are Democrats. They vote Democrat, even though it's clearly hardcore anti-whiteism for a long time now. Don't care about the white population at all. You can look at these unions that were blue collar unions, and they were 100% white or 99% white. Now they're 50% non-white, and it's growing fast non-white. And the white people in those unions, they just keep voting for the policies that are white erasing them. It's a consequence of anti-whiteism. So this woman is in her household with her daughter, her child, only 11 years of age. Remember, I talked about in Crucible, where when I began at 11, speaking to my friends, my peers, as well as the teachers, and asking, like, hey, why are things so anti-white? Why are we not allowed to be proud? Why are, on and on? And I mentioned in the book, there's an actual part where I talk about the females responding to me. So this is so apropos, responding to me as if they had this lifelong experience of knowing anyone holding a particular set of views meant that they wanted to murder non-white people, especially innocent non-white people. They wanted to liquidate them. They wanted to Holocaust them. They on and on and on. That's how they talked to me, as if they had lived these lives. Well, they had, hadn't they? In fiction. They had lived them in fiction. That's how they could spew this invective, this wild, frothing invective at me. I know what you are. And I wasn't talking anything about harming non-white people. I was 11, I was 12, I was 13. I was saying, what about us? Why do all of the awards at school, why do so many of these awards go to non-white kids when they're a fraction of the population? And on top of that, you have the non-white only awards. Why was there a group, the international group, which really just meant the non-white group for pride about non-whites, but there couldn't be a white group? That meant that you were Hitler. That meant that you were Ku Klux Klan. Her daughter has been trained to be this psychotic, anti-white, brain-poisoned animal because she didn't inoculate her. There isn't any amount of choose the best person for the job. There isn't any amount of patriotism. There isn't any amount of going to church. There isn't any amount of studying pagan religions. There isn't any amount of celebrating Swedish traditions or Norwegian traditions or Germanic traditions or Italian that will stop this, because it already failed to stop it. Imagine the reverse, though. Imagine that she had inoculated her daughter against anti-whiteism. And then the daughter goes to school and discovers that all of these white people, the Charlie Kirks, white people who are inhibiting anti-whiteism in one way or another, that they are all cast as the devil, worthy of hate. The only fashionable view, the most important thing to most females for most, even all of their lives, the most fashionable view to hold is the anti-white view. She would see it. She would see the manipulation. She would know it was intended to target us. She would know everything that I gropingly figured out when I was 11, 12, and 13 years of age. Her daughter would have shouted at me and called me a racist. Her daughter would have screamed as though she had watched my type slaughter millions when I was asking for equal treatment. But instead, she now has a daughter that she is at extreme odds with at an age when what the daughter is learning, the daughter would be hard pressed to determine where she herself ends and the ideas foisted upon her begins. They will blur together as her identity.
And that was my turning point. We never spoke about Charlie in this house. We never even, I don't even know if she's ever seen his stuff. And I'm really getting sick of people quoting him and then me having to go and find the transcript of that specific quote.
Now, would this mother have to do that if she had inoculated the daughter? By the way, millions of white parents right here. The exact same moments in their lives. My God. My child is a radical anti-white. My child holds radical anti-white views. And then they grope for a way to live with them. Even the parents even changing their own views to have peace with their children. We've all seen it. Sometimes it goes the other direction. Sometimes the parent disowns the child. But what if she had inoculated the child? Would she have to spend hours on the internet finding the transcript of what was really said, which is not going to convince the daughter anyhow? If she had inoculated her, if she had inoculated the child and she heard the quotes that are just monstrous, then mom has told her that this is what anti-whites do, but she doesn't know anything about Charlie. She just knows that he's a white guy and that anti-whites don't like some of the things that he's saying. She would correctly conclude, based on the thought chains, you have these derivatives that are a consequence of the antecedent that we provide with the Go Free practice. And the daughter would naturally conclude that something suspicious, I don't believe these people. Yet again, here we have another white guy that they don't like. They're calling a demon. And what is it that he's actually for? Who knows? But I know that I am on the qui vive. I am keeping an eye out for that sort of attack, that sort of verbal attack on everyone that anti-whites don't like. The 11-year-old daughter wouldn't have come home to the mother on the day that a man was murdered in front of millions by way of this video, gruesomely murdered with his own family and children there. The daughter comes home and tells the mother, I hate him. I hate him. Instead, the daughter would have come home and she would have said, hey, there's some guy named Charlie Kirk, and the teacher and some of the other kids are using all these anti-white phrases like racist and bigot and homophobe. And she would have been on to them. Completely different outcomes.
And send it to them. And then come back to me and go, oh, yeah, okay, I understand now. I'm getting tired of it. My turning point was when I realized they're influencing my children. For real. This isn't, oh, they're teaching this in school. No, this is actual influence for my child to turn to me and say, I hate him. For no reason. She couldn't back it up. That was my turning point.
All right. Which way, Western man? Continue down the asininity, or is this reason and logic not enough for you? Does this not make enough sense? Do all of the demonstrable successes, do they not have enough weight and merit? I'm going to take a look at what you all are having to say. Tag me as No White Guilt. And while we do that, before we get into the final little bit here, Prometheus Rising, a little bit of edification for us. And speaking directly to this dolorous malaise, consequence of, I think, Zarustka and Kirk, and now so many of these other anti-white terrorist attacks, and really understanding where victory can be found in Western kind. And what is victory? The recapture of our destiny. And it begins with the recapture, and it doesn't happen in a single moment. It is incremental for us, but the recapture of our own destinies, and then that of our family, that of those that we touch with our lives. Checking over here, entropy is still working. I'm going to check in the background. But while we do this, I think we should enjoy a little bit of the creativity, the creative side of one of our favorites, a guy who's really just marvelous and knocking it out of the park every single week lately with his swashbuckling, Ivan Sihababal.
Hold my race to tonight. Clanking chains, they know respite. In the dark, I'm biding time. Ivan's wrath will make them white. Neon lights burn deep my soul. Tesla tech ain't got control. Rat eater prowling for a break. Dangerous beast with names to take. Ivan the horrible's on the prowl. Time to make the jailbirds howl. Vengeance brewed in twisted mind. Elon set up was unkind. Neurotic thoughts I've kept so near. Now it's time to shed this fear. Escape artist in the shadows light. Breaking free won't die tonight. Cold and steel in every breath. Grinding gears, they scream of death. Elon's trap will start to bend. This monster's fury knows no end. Ivan the horrible's on the prowl. Time to make the jailbirds howl. Vengeance brewed in twisted mind. Elon set up was unkind.
Gotta have a song for Ivan's dance. Like breakdance.
Ivan the horrible's on the prowl. Time to make the jailbirds howl. Vengeance brewed in twisted mind. Elon set up was unkind.
Epic. We'll have to make a whole song, a whole dance up to that piece. Well done, Ivan. We have Cactu helping out 7 lilies with a question, had a general question. I don't know where it is, but I would speak to it if I find it. I do not see it. No, I don't see it at all. What the heck? By the way, I forgot to mention, is everybody on live chat? Jerome is with us. Great to see you, champion. All right. Yes. Not a 1. That's crazy. It's not coming up for me. Well, we're going to get into Prometheus Rising here right after we take a look at the financial gifts. And it looks like we are blank on Entropy. Didn't miss anybody. Blank on Subscribe Star. Didn't miss anybody. Over here on that other app, we have Weldon. God bless you, Jason. Thank you, Weldon. God bless you as well. $5 financial gift. Good to see you. Great to have you here. Thanks for coming over. And of course, thanks for coming over a guy who practically has a cot over here. $5 first, last. And he shares Bigot's Brew. And that's what keeps so many content creators from wanting to hear what we have to say. Tell us about your magic. How have you had so many victories? Let's go. Any one of those victories could be talked about for many shows, for many streams. Cool Papa J Magic says, trying again. I've been seeing anti-whites reverse go-free concepts every now and then. I've seen trans erasure. I love that. I wish God needs to allow me to have those people before me that said that we could never get, specifically to me, you can never get the anti-whites to use those concepts in the inverse. And I said, bet me. Actually, I wasn't that confident. I mean, I felt like it was possible, but everybody, all of these the so smart people, you know, the people with the really fabulous degrees and the super popular, they were like, no, it can't be done. I was like, I really think it can. I really look at steps here, A, B, C, and then that'll be proof that when they use our terms inverted, like we use their terms inverted, like we started off this stream about, imagine that would just be never will happen, Jason. Okay. Cool Papa J Magic is seeing it happen. Trans erasure, black erasure. And what's the last one? Is that anti-Satanism or Asianism? Probably. It's probably anti-Asian. Yes. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, brother. God, it's so true that we said we could do this. And think about that also. Not only do we have accurate predictions here, almost 100% right? Very close. But we have effected outcomes that we said we would achieve in this community. That's colossal. That is colossal. What was that show? I never watched it. Where the people went on with their products, and then they had these wealthy individuals who could invest. I saw commercials for it. I don't know what it is. But could you imagine us there with all of this we said we would do, and it happened? They would look at this community like, are these people superhuman? How have they achieved all of this? Shark Tank, first last. You're right, brother. That's what it is. If we were on Shark Tank, man. But no, not going to get that from the run-of-the-mill goobers. Franklin is saying that he's also seen the trans erasure now. Amazing. It's just amazing. It's achieving it, and it should be like this whole white sympathetic sphere celebration. But instead, we're over here both amazed that we have stuck with this and it worked exactly as we said it would. And here are all the proofs that we articulated would be there of its success. And at the same time, this stunned horror that all the people who said it couldn't be done, you will not talk to anybody, any of our community members, anybody of this group's members about this. You will not be given the respect due, your work, the dues you paid, the help you provided, so many others. But they see it happen and then they're like, zip. I conveniently forget. Okay, so Seven Lilies is an anti-white trying to argue that the far left isn't anti-white. And when they say white people are bad, they mean capitalists. Nice. When they say what they really mean when they're targeting white people is they're targeting people with money, except when anti-whites have money and they do anti-white things with the money, they're celebrated. But don't feel lonely. Don't feel lonely at all. We also acknowledge the anti-whites on the right. In fact, Seven Lilies, this is going to blow your mind. People like Fuentes is a hardcore anti-white. Hardcore anti-white. Because what he peddles undermines our battle against anti-whiteism in every conceivable way. So it makes him hardcore. The outcomes are anti-white. Let's see, what else is here? That they simply hate capitalists, but use the word white to describe them. Well, so now thank you for that. Now you can go to your friends on the hard left and you can talk about the fact that this is community, and they're like, they notice anti-whites over here, they notice anti-whites over there. That's what they're against. Novelty. But I will agree, and I do agree, it's my position, that the real difference between right and left, both are anti-white. The real difference is that the left is economically more socialist and the right is more economically laissez-faire, crony, or just capitalist, and they use micro-socialist networks to work together to enrich themselves at the expense of everyone else. So I can agree with you on that. I think that a system where you have individuals that can accumulate so much wealth at the expense of everybody else, far and beyond, far away beyond the value that they're providing their companies or their ownership in general of different companies, accumulate so much wealth with this rapacity that they indeed become living mortal gods compared to the rest of us. And yet we're said that, hey, they get a vote, you get a vote, so you're the same. Preposterous. So I don't like that system either. So we agree there. But the anti-whiteism, very anti-white on the left, very anti-white on the right. Let's get into Prometheus Rising. I'm going to read a little segment, and it's the segment that is Prometheus Rising, Take Back Your Destiny. It's the segment that we are going to then review. Nope. I thought it had another comment over here. Cool Papa J Magic pointing out that James Lindsay says the same anti-white nonsense. And same with Carlin. And Papa has it right again. Capitalism is anti-white. Socialism is anti-white. Christianity is anti-white. Atheism, science, paganism, all severely anti-whiteism. Let's stop the nonsense and defeat anti-whiteism. So, Seven Lilies, maybe you are, consider yourself on the hard left because you're socialistic, economically speaking, and object to the capitalism of the West. If you object to anti-whiteism and you want to combat that, then let's go. Let's go. Let's tear it down. The economic systems are going to be determined, and I believe in a much healthier way, when we arrest anti-whiteism. Ayayay has chimed in. They say, quote, we don't mean white people with whiteness. I've seen it used in place of evil. It felt, let's see, I guess I felt shocked at the use of a slur so curated to identify and villainize us. Yeah. I mean, the anti-whiteism is so thick in the West that even Jews are now suffering as a consequence, much less, of course, as a consequence of it. Just like our position here that we've been talking about for many years, and you just had Gavin McGinnis, we shared with you on Sunday, say the exact, and took the words right out of my mouth. All right, the great Slots is over here with a $1 financial gift. God bless you, brother. If Iryna Zarustka was brown, she'd still be alive. 100%. Yeah. That guy was an anti-white terrorist, and the objective was to murder the white female. We also have over here on D Live, I've got to give a big thank you to Chirp. And let's see. Is that an ice cream cone of cryptocurrency? A lemon of cryptocurrency? Another lemon of cryptocurrency? Another lemon of crypto? Another lemon of cryptocurrency? Chirp. Well done. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Wow. And we also have the great Hotza coming in again, a lemon of a cryptocurrency. Thank you so much. We've made a new friend out of Chirp. Thank you. Glad you're here. I hope you follow and you come back. We're here on Wednesdays at 7, Sundays at 5, my friend. Thank you for being here. Tell all your friends. Bring them over. The party is always epic at the House of Swash. One more check here, and then we shall proceed. All right. Tag me as No White Guilt if you have any questions. Here we go. So where we are in this part of Prometheus Rising, Take Back Your Destiny, is at the part where King Layson he's now alone, and he's climbing the mountain where he said he's told he will find Prometheus yet living. So there are a lot of hidden meaning here as we work through, and then we'll come back and touch upon that. Those points. At long last, bereft of the splendor that haloed the king and his proud men, as from Ananoel they marched, all that was left him was the love he held for his people, and the knowledge that the lives and safety of Promethean families lay no place other than in the victory of the Promethean nation. It was this love that fueled him when all else had come to its dregs. His body broken, his limbs inert, heavy and thick with numbness, his heart straining even as it began to fail, King Layson conquered the mountain. Nigh the end of his strength, he heaved his tired frame onto a shelf, expansive upon the mountain's shoulder. Smooth and level was its surface, and there prostrate upon its lip he lay, feebly watching the enemy as they climbed from the mouth of the swallowing dusk that pursued them. The rolling boil of their black forms, blacker against the blackness of night. Adrift on a violet sea, deepening to darkness and rising with the cries of nocturnal hunters, Layson's life was no more than a sputtering flame. Straightening painfully to his feet, the once proud king strode with great difficulty toward a shapeless boulder that leered from the middle of the shelf. Alone, it disturbed the flawless expanse, torn loose from some distant cliff, perhaps, a colossal interloper against which he leaned his trembling body. Scanning the shelf, peering blearily from rim to rim with squinted eyes, he searched for sign or clue to Prometheus in vain. Surely, if here were a power to deliver his nation from hastening oblivion, it would need not the suppliant's faith and discernment, but would glow like sun and moon, and roar like bolt and thunder. But here there was nothing. In the sinking awareness of failure, of defeat, a darkness of grief invaded him from within. He longed to scream his anger into the night, to beat his fists into the dirt. But his thoughts spun loose from his grasp, careening through his weakened mind like withering ghosts on a winter's gale. Shivering with the horror of failure, his mind flitted into darkness and back, the world tilting under his feet. Twice his knees buckled, and twice he caught himself, his bloody fingers clutching the ugly stone. Grief, like a rising tide, swelled with a quenchless furor from the deeps, but in grief he would not drown. For even as the stars winked into flame across heaven's canopy, his troubled thoughts were broken by the sounds of the lurching enemy, a turning as one driven by instinct. He prepared for his final battle. Probing the night shadows, as tragic fears chased one another through his slackening mind, Layson saw no bulwark or blind behind which he might contend with the enemy, save for the dark side of the boulder. Doubtfully, he unsheathed his riven and pitted sword, and using the ugly rock for support, made his way around its girth. He would not survive. His kingdom would fall. His nation would be unmade by the cunning words of the virus. Many he had sought in the Valaroma to come to his people's aid. But at last, he discerned that in one alone could the flower of hope come to full bloom. Neither weapon, nor logic, nor argument, nor genius, nor glittering standard, nor God's might of Valaroma could save his people. For from the beginning to the end of time, there had been only one from whom salvation could come, one who could deliver them. Prometheus, uttered the king through cracked lips as he rounded the boulder, startled by the sight of an emaciated man chained to the rock, his belly torn open, his glistening entrails coiled at his feet. So what do we see happening today that matches this passage? What is King Layson? Who is King Layson talking about? What is Prometheus standing in for? He says here in his internal thoughts, if here were a power to deliver his nation from hastening oblivion, it would need not the suppliant's faith and discernment, but would glow like sun and moon and roar like bolt and thunder. We see this in our brothers and sisters every day. the fame of the politician or the content creator with the massive audience, the roaring of sun and moon, the dazzling lights, the crowd. And at the same time, we feel the darkness all around us, especially now with these murders, these feelings of defeat, the ugliness of the rock and what that represents when we have exerted ourselves over, in this particular part of the story, this entire mission to resurrect the answers to our challenges, to find them, those answers, out there, somewhere else. And we go on this mission personally and in groups to find these things. And we all experience King Lason's mission. One thing after another doesn't answer our prayer, doesn't arrest the victimization. One thing after another fails for us in this journey. And along the way, we are beaten, we are wounded, we are injured. Our sword, our will, as the sword represents there, is pitted and riven, is weak as a consequence. Our body is weak, our minds are weak, our minds are slackening. And what's happening as we are growing weaker, climbing this mountain, finally at the end, a final hope. The darkness is rising around us. The music of the night, the creatures of the night. And King Lason, I think, references in this part, the segment I read, but if not all around it, that he's pursued. He's pursued by what we could understand this metaphor speaking to as anti-whites. They're taunting. They've murdered his men. He loved them. His family, their families, are under threat. He can't reach out from where he is to protect them. He has to find this answer for his family, his people, his kingdom to be saved. Just like you and I are isolated in our societies, in this global conflict against anti-whiteism. We are climbing these mountains. We are losing our men along the way. He longed to scream his anger into the night, to beat his fists into the dirt. Every one of us have felt that. Every one of us have succumbed again and again to the rage born out of the consternation that the answers are not there. They're not out there. We're not finding them. Every new hope, every new claim of hope ends up the exact same. And we succumb to that anger. But then we find, as it says here, his thoughts spun loose from his grasp, careening through his weakened mind, like withering ghosts on a winter's gale. The willpower to contend with anti-whiteism is, and it's slackening, it's weakening, always is hand in hand with the rage at the consternation, the frustration. Twice his knees buckled, and twice he caught himself, his bloody fingers clutching the ugly stone. The stone is the final failure, the ugliness of it, a representation of all of the ugliness that came before. The knees buckling and catching himself against the ugliness. His, your, my weakening will, in the wilderness of seeking an answer. And it is the ugliness that catches us again and fires us with the passion to continue to contend with it. It is the Iryna Zaruskas that enrage us again. It is the business medical facility where it was revealed where they search your social media history to determine whether or not you will be hired and not if you have views that contend with anti-whiteism. It's the ugliness of it that fires us again, that we fall against, because it's not the impetus. It is the offense. So our fingers, our bloodied hands grip the offense, grip the ugliness of the moment. His troubled thoughts were broken by the sounds of the lurching enemy, the anti-whites in pursuit. There's no respite. There's no time. There are thousands in pursuit of King Layson, and there are kingdoms of Prometheans falling across the land. He can hear them coming. We can hear them coming. The shots at the ice facility. The video of Charlie Kirk's grisly assassination. The sound of the gun firing. But instinct in that moment, deeper even than our personal commitment to contend with anti-whiteism, the evil of the age, instinct even deeper drives us in that moment to stand and fight with what's left. That is the health that continues to sing inside men and women of the West, and absent in those who are ill. Layson saw no bulwark or blind behind which he might contend with the enemy. No community that you could start. No party that you could gather. No think tank. There's nowhere for you to conceal and prepare yourself for the approach of the enemy. He unsheathed his riven and pitted sword to contend again with this anti-white foe. And it's the ugliness, the ugly rock that continues to play a part in that resistance. What's coming for all of us? What's coming for the purest among us, the most innocent? That ugliness that we rely upon can take many forms, not just the moments of murder, crime, and rape, but the bad job, the job we hate, the family that we don't get along with, that we have to persist with in order to continue to fight anti-whiteism. So many of us have co-workers, colleagues, family members, situations where if we're going to continue to wage our resistance to anti-whiteism, we have to tolerate this ugliness of the rock, the ugliness of the moment. yet another aspect. He would not survive. How many of you find yourselves coming to the negativity, the pessimism of we can't win? We can't overcome the anti-whites. There has to be a collapse. And then magically something after that. These are Lason's thoughts, are your thoughts. He would not survive. Many he had sought in the Valaroma to come to his people's aid. So again, that seeking, that search for the power, sometimes it takes the form of people scouring philosophers, and we've seen a lot of that over the years. Some philosophical or socio-political speaker from the past, poring over the documents, even creating brand new fictitious documents for gods that supposedly existed in the past, and discovering nothing there. It's just the void. And in many cases, even harmful. But at the last, he discerned that in one alone could the flower of hope come to full bloom. In one alone. Neither weapon, nor logic, nor argument, nor genius, nor glittering standard, nor God's might of the Valaroma could save his people. From the beginning to the end of time, there had been only one from whom salvation could come, one who could deliver them, Prometheus. Who is Prometheus? Prometheus is the voice. And what is the voice? The voice is the biospirit of the West. And where is the voice? It's in you. The victory could only ever come from us. Taking on the evil of this age. Everything we have always needed was always right here. Come together on the basis of that birth as the Creator made us. Without everything that comes after that birth, and we become a people, and we become the heroes of that people, and we recapture our destiny. Let me check for any comments. Tag me as No White Guilt. Prometheus Rising, Take Back Your Destiny is fiction that I authored, replete with many levels of heuristics, metaphor, allegory, intended to teach us about ourselves, strengths and weaknesses. None of the peoples mentioned in Prometheus Rising are representing any other peoples on Earth today, aside from the Prometheans being us. They are, in fact, representations of the vectors by which we are victimized. So any actual living people, they could even be white, could assume those roles and those groups that use those vectors of victimization. Those things never change. But the groups or the peoples or whatever it is that can exploit those vectors of victimization can change infinite number of times. Let me scroll back here and see what I have found. Now we see a dickless J Spurg here. The Overton window. How young are you? To look up Pike. Look up Pike, see what year that was. Do you know, by the way, that AIPAC and the control of AIPAC exercised over the United States government was discussed pretty regularly on national television? Do you know there was a website for many years called Jew Watch that was number one on Google? Number one, full of all of what you might consider the sophisticates of anti-Jew rhetoric. Number one, you type in anything on Google for Jew, came up Jew Watch. Frank Weltner made that. Number one. You know, there were politicians that spoke endless. Do you know what was it? What year was it when we'll remember 60? What year was it when? Dang, what was the pastor's name? I'm forgetting right now. Was on the recording in the Oval Office with Nixon, talking about the Jews. Yeah, the Overton window. It's moved. Because I know you'll understand, I will artfully call you putz. Oh, already got to that comment. Slots 2019, quote, but Jason, won't non-whites take credit for our victories if they're involved? So that was the slots back in 2019, before the slots of today. The true champion, done so much for white well-being. God bless him. All right. Graham. Are you sure it wasn't in this 1970s something? Graham. Yep, they all. And I still got to look up, because I recalled Pike the other night, and he was 85, and he was a preacher. And do you remember him? Did you ever hear about him first last? Was it Edward? What was that guy's name? Anyhow, I remember because there was all the conversations about mailing lists and how big somebody's mailing list was and how legitimate it was, like active. So real recipients that were active. And his mailing list was really said to be colossal and super active. And he spoke endlessly about AIPAC, Israel, the Jews, and it was all, very professional looking. And he appeared with his wife, who was an attractive woman all the time in these videos. All of these children of Tylenol dosing mothers think that this talk about the Jews is new. You're a loser. Kill your, the rest of it. No, what was that guy's name? I'll have to look it up maybe and then come back. No. What was that guy's name? He was really like smooth spoken. Actually, not weird at all. And so many of them are weird. Now I have to look him up when we're not streaming. What do we have here on? I posted on Rumble and X, says shaking my head. Okay. Please, I beg to be taught. If you don't educate me, where do I turn? I'm listening now and watching for your reply on this serious matter. So is that what's over on Rumble? Did you tag me on Rumble? Are you saying that you're black? Yeah, of course. If you are opposed to anti-whiteism, then you're welcome to be here. Absolutely. Yeah, tag me over on Rumble with your comment because I don't see a tag for me. But anybody who opposes to anti-whiteism can stand shoulder to shoulder with me. I don't care what color the legs were that you passed between when you got here. All right, one more check here. And if you don't get it written up on Rumble today, because we're about to roll out, then come back next Wednesday or try Sunday. We're a little bit more organized on Sunday and a little bit quicker paced, but all right. All right. This guy's been left in the dust, babe. This I can see, this fat loser. Probably a gay groiper. As in Claudine Gay. Boy crushing. Just boy crushing. This guy's been left. We're all talking about Jews. He's not talking about Jews. He's been left in the dust. Oh, you guys are so smart. You're so smart. Billy Graham. Yes, indeed. Reverend Billy Graham. Edo. Yep, speed. Kill your speed. Billy Graham. Yeah, that guy is... Now, preacher guy, for some reason, he's rarely mentioned when people are talking, when people are doing some of these history dives. He's like Pele. Barely mentioned. They barely know about him. This guy was huge. Azimuth Clark is with us. All right. That appears to be it. Thanks for the memories. Ba-dum, ba-da-ba-dum. Positivity is with us again, just to say you do an incredible and amazing job. I, for one, am really grateful. Well, I really deeply appreciate that. Thank you so much. I like having you all come over. Nikki is here. Winged Productions in the house. I like having you all come over. And we're right. We're the ones having victories. And we just have to press on. And we'll continue to have those victories. Something really magical is afoot in the work that we're doing. And I think everybody can get it at this point. So I'm so happy you all are here. First, last, saying thank you for giving us hope. And thank you for giving me hope. All of you for giving me hope. And with that, we shall ride off another time into the sunset. Hopefully, it's the last time it sets on the west. But we'll ride off one last time, and we'll do it to the dulcet chords of one of our very finest, the great Fornol. Once again, ladies and gentlemen. If I'm breaking up or not, you can reach me. Bob Hope. 2 p.m. every day on Twitter. The Shade Tree with the Tree Godfather and so many other heroes. Really remarkable people. You want to be there. I retweet. Tree Godfather retweets. Follow us and you'll be notified to be able to participate. We want to see you there. Otherwise, Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be back. And the fight for white well-being will continue. Roll out.
I got a song to sing. Well, I said a few things and I'll admit it. If you want to get ahead, you gotta hump and get it. I'm a white man looking for a place to do my thing. Now hump and get it. Yeah, I'm a small town man, I've been around a little. I like guitars and I like a fiddle, and that's the kind of soul it takes to fan my flame. I'm a blue-eyed Billy, kind of rough and ruddy. I have to work to be